Tonight, the federal government's proposed law to set drinking water standards in First Nations is being met with mixed reaction. Also, a Saskatoon store owner is hoping to help combat porch pirates, who are very busy this time of year, by offering area residents a place to drop off their packages. Plus, an official launch for the 3rd annual Regina Frost Festival, which kicks off in the new year.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, December the 12th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Ottawa is proposing a new law to create minimum water standards for First Nations. Currently, there aren't any regulations for drinking water or wastewater on reserves. As Olivia Stefanovich reports, there are big expectations for what the bill could change.
Even when he visits the nation's capital, Chief Chris Muniz of Niskandiga First Nation chooses to drink bottled water instead of trusting the tap.
Well, it's a trauma. It's what it's ingrained in our minds.
Niskandiga is a fly-in community in northwestern Ontario with the longest drinking water advisory of any First Nation. 28 years and counting.
I just hope that someday that we'll be able to have clean drinking water.
Muniz also hopes Ottawa's new bill will prevent other First Nations from going through what his people are.
Hopefully that once there's a boil of water advisory, it will get addressed right away, as opposed to waiting 28 years.
Introduction of government bills.
Bill C-61 aims to protect water in First Nations by creating minimum national standards for wastewater and drinking water.
Indigenous people, Indigenous children deserve to be conceived, born, and die drinking clean water.
The proposed legislation also promises to bring First Nations water systems up to par with municipal ones.
It commits to the equity of First Nations to have sufficient funding compared to non-Indigenous communities, and the funding frameworks will be worked out with First Nations people.
Ottawa is required to introduce the bill under a multi-billion-dollar settlement providing compensation for First Nations people deprived of safe potable water.
We've needed this kind of legislation for a long time.
But the NDP's Indigenous critic isn't throwing her support behind the bill just yet.
I need to see that First Nations do feel that they've been heard. I need to see that this legislation went beyond the court case.
The proposed law replaces legislation introduced by the previous Conservative government, repealed by the Liberals after widespread criticism from First Nations over a lack of consultation and funding. Issues this new bill will also be scrutinized for as it makes its way through the House of Commons. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
A Saskatoon neighborhood in crisis is calling on the provincial government to help, saying action is needed now or things are going to get much worse. People here in Pleasant Hill say immediate action is needed as homelessness spirals out of control. Earlier this month, the Community Credit Union announced it would be shutting down because of safety concerns. It's been a cornerstone of the community for 75 years. The president of the Pleasant Hill Community Association, Adam Pollock, says this is just the latest symptom of an out-of-control problem that's leading to addictions, desperation, and violence. He says the programs that are supposed to help vulnerable people aren't properly supported by the government.
If the government doesn't respond to these calls to action, then homelessness is only going to grow worse and worse in our community. Homelessness results in desperation. Desperation results in crime and addictions. There are people who have never done a drug in their life who are now on the streets surrounded by drugs. So if they don't realize the snowball effect that this is having, then we need to call for better leadership. So hopefully this crisis and our call for action on this emergency will see results.
The province did not grant CBC's request for interviews with the ministers of social services or mental health and addictions. Instead, it sent a statement saying the government is working with Saskatoon and community-based organizations and Indigenous partners to establish additional services. The Pleasant Hill Community Association says time is of the essence. A $5,000 reward is being offered by the family of Byron Watson for any information that leads to the missing man being brought home. The 23-year-old from Maple Creek was last seen November 26th and was reported missing to RCMP on December 1st.
I think he left him between 9:30 and 10:30. And he just walked out, like before he left the house, he said, "I'm going to peace out for a bit." And he just left. And I didn't think to get up to see what he was wearing or which direction he went, because he came and went as he wanted to.
Today, Watson's family, community members, police and town officials gathered in Maple Creek to call for more help. RCMP say they've been checking places Watson was known to visit. Laurie says he played hockey, slow pitch and golf and was working at a livestock operation. He did not have a cell phone or a vehicle. Ground and drone searches continue, including on the Nikanit First Nation and surrounding areas. Anyone who might know something about Watson's whereabouts is asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Regina's new police chief made his first public appearance since officially joining the service at the beginning of the month. Farouk Hassan Sheikh is Regina's 15th police chief. He spoke with the media after Board of Police Commissioners meeting this morning. Sheikh says it wasn't just the job that drew him to Regina.
And obviously I've done my research on Regina as itself, and I want to be part of that community. Because I believe that, and Sir Robert Peel said back in 1829, the police are the public and the public are the police. I generally believe that. So I just want to be a part of the community. I want to be part of the police organisation, and I want to be part of the vision going forward. But I also want to embrace the phenomenal leaders and staff that I have within the organisation.
Before joining the Regina Police, Sheikh led the Alberta Sheriff's Branch, a provincial law enforcement agency whose members are peace officers with some policing duties. Sheikh says he's planning to hold community meetings at the start of the new year. Well, as Christmas approaches, more people are shopping online for gifts than the rest of the year. A Saskatoon store is offering up its store as the middleman for those packages. It's a preventative measure to stop so-called porch pirates. Dane Patterson has more.
Sunken ships and islands aren't the only places people find treasure anymore, and the bulky treasure chests have been exchanged for small, taped boxes at the front of homes.
That's why we call them porch pirates. They wander the streets, they find what looks like a treasure, and they go in and nab it.
Judy Denham has laid out a proposal to gather those treasured cardboard boxes at her store on 33rd Street West. It's a standing offer to people to have their boxes delivered there so they don't have to worry about them being stolen while they're at work. Then they come with a piece of ID and pick them up. The idea came from seeing posts on community social media pages.
They're being left on their doorstep when they're delivered, and some people are not getting them. They know they've been delivered, but they don't get them. And so we decided that we're here 24/7, not 24/7, but we're here 7 days a week. 9 to 5. Why not deliver the packages to the flag shop?
So far, she's had few people use her service. That's despite reactions to her Facebook post letting people know about it. The Saskatoon Police Service says the best option is to have the packages delivered when you're home, or request a signature on delivery, or request a pickup location from the retailer. Police say shoplifting, theft from vehicles, and that type of crime are driving increased property crime.
That ties hand in hand with addictions, right? So people who are addicted need to get quick pieces of money, and porch pirate, as you call it, that's a great way to do it.
Cooper said while other police services in the country do allow people to pick parcels up from police headquarters, Saskatoon can't and won't do that. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Cameco is giving back to Saskatchewan. The uranium company is providing more than $1.8 million for community organizations.
Just came back from Dubai on the weekend, and things are looking very, very positive, I would say, for our industry and for our company, and that's really what drives us forward. But in doing that, we want to give back to our communities and help those who need a hand, who are in need and maybe hurting. We want to make a difference. We've always asked our people to step up and make a difference in their community, and it's really part of our DNA, giving back to our community.
The funding includes more than $700,000 raised through the Cameco employee giving campaign. 300 employees donated to a charity of their choice, and that was matched by the company, with 165 organizations benefiting as a result. And thanks to 7,000 people who participated in September's Step Up for Mental Health Run or Walk, another $700,000 was raised, and grants were awarded to 24 mental health projects in Saskatchewan. $250,000 is also going to support the expansion of the YWCA's women's shelter in Saskatoon. There's a new push on the prairies to drill down and cash in on something needed around the world. Helium is in short supply. And as Paula Duhatschek tells us, some say the answer could be here in Canada.
At a glance, this collection of pipes and structures looks like any other natural gas processing plant. But the prize buried deep underground isn't a hydrocarbon, it's helium.
It's used every day by everybody, and it's certainly not balloons, but you know, everything from high-tech manufacturing to rocketry to healthcare.
In recent years, tight supply and high prices have led to a wave of prospectors hoping to cash in on the commodity.
We have this opportunity. There's a growing need, and from a security supply perspective, it makes an awful lot of sense.
You can stop the walk.
More Canadian production would be good news for this University of Alberta lab. It relies on helium to keep superconducting magnets cool.
If we can find a Canadian solution, a Canadian supplier that can basically ensure a valuable and safe supplier, I think that'd be a fantastic idea, fantastic opportunity.
But some caution, energy giants Russia and Qatar are ramping up their own helium production.
I do believe we will have an oversupply of helium in the world by later in the decade.
That means Canadian producers may only have a short window before prices could start to fall and interest from investors wanes.
Certainly time is of the essence for these companies to begin selling helium.
The Helium Developers Association says it's trying to move the industry forward as quickly as possible. The group wants access to tax incentives it says will help spur investment. Royal Helium, meanwhile, still bullish about helium's future in the prairies.
What we'd like to see is, you know, 2 more of these plants in the next 12 to 18 months, purifying helium on both the Alberta side and the Saskatchewan side of the border.
A move he says would help lift up Canadian research and industry. Paula Duhatschek, CBC News, Calgary.
The countdown to Regina's 3rd annual Frost Festival kicked off today. Organizers announced today that the Winter Festival will return at the end of next month. Once again, winter activities will be spread out over 4 hubs across the city from January 26th to February 4th. Last year's festival brought in more than 88,000 people. Organizers are hopeful even more people will attend this time around, especially newcomers.
A big contingent of how we grow is with new Canadians. And if you're out at in downtown or at the warehouse or the PCC or at Real, what you'll see is a lot of families that are new Canadians. And so it's a way for them to come out to experience the joy of winter, because we all know it comes with some hassles too. And so to get to see them have free skating, free hot chocolate, to participate in art and snow sculptures and ice games, it really is a way to bring community together and connect them.
Hike up!
The city invested more than $210,000 in the 2024 festival. Back this year will be the popular Glow Festival with a new fairy tale magic theme. And at Wascana Centre, free public skating, horse and wagon rides, dog sledding, the Family Fun Zone, and more. You can buy discounted advance passes now at local Sherwood co-ops. Well, thankfully, the wind has moved on, and it was actually a really nice day in Saskatchewan with very little chance of precipitation in the south. Things continue to look pretty brown, though, and with a lot of sunshine and warm days in the forecast, I don't know. The first day of winter is in a week on Thursday. We'll see if winter actually arrives. Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Local post offices are disappearing across the country as Canada Post struggles with financial losses. But when the service shuts down, it can be like the heart of a community has stopped beating. Yvette Bren looks at one small town in BC that managed to buck the trend and keep its post office alive.
For a tiny 500-person town on BC's Yukon border, the post office is a lifeline.
Atlin is at the end of a 100-kilometer road that doesn't go anywhere else. You know, we need to drive 2 hours to get to a city from here, and that's where the next post office is.
That city, Whitehorse, is where some traveled just to get their mail after Atlin's post office burned down last year. Eventually, a temporary post office was set up in the town's old morgue. During that time, people couldn't send mail from Atlan or even buy stamps. This baker missed a longtime friend's wedding. The invitation took 5 months to arrive.
Our mail service is extremely terrible.
But Atlan isn't the only rural community with post office problems.
What we're seeing is a loss of a really vital federal service in communities where people depend on the post office.
Rural offices in Atlan, Telegraph Creek, BC, Langdon, Alberta, Windsor and Maberly, Ontario, Brooklyn, Nova Scotia and Bell River, PEI have closed in the past year or are at risk of closing. As financial pressures have increased and people send fewer packages, Canada Post has closed about 380 offices across the country since the 90s. In a statement, it says, the closure of rural or urban post offices may occur from time to time, often due to reasons beyond our control. We work hard to recruit a new postmaster and or find a new location, but in some cases we aren't successful.
Post office has moved.
Atlan is a rare success story. Its new post office a relief for the town, says the new postmaster.
You just have to have a place where you can go and get your mail, get your medications. Every community needs a place where they can go to get their business done.
And I really hope that Canada Post will find a way to keep the post office alive everywhere.
A hope shared by thousands of Canadians who rely on them. Yvette Bren, CBC News, Vancouver.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 2023 model clearout is on now.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. You know who is really loving this weather? The postal delivery people who are not crawling through knee-deep snow, wondering if they're going to fall off your front step because they're icy. I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's for them.
Yeah, that's right. Not too many more layers you need to put on, or put the grips on the shoes or anything like that. And I tell you what, December has been an ideal time to deliver the mail, because when we take a look at temperatures in Regina, just in these first 12 days, the daytime highs have averaged out around about 1.3 degrees. We go back to last year, and it was minus 10.7 just in the first 12 days when we look at the average highs. So a big difference there. And the same in Saskatoon as well. So far in these first 12 days, averaging out just below freezing. And last year, we were into those minus double digits in the first 12 days. And of course, precipitation, very scarce. In Saskatoon, we didn't have too much snow on the ground this time last year, only about 2 centimeters, but it's more than this year. None. It's looking more and more like a brown Christmas every day now. For Regina, this is really where the stark contrast is. Last year at this time, we had anywhere between 12.7 and about 16.5 centimeters on the ground, and this year just a trace reported from volunteer reports across the city. And there is really nothing falling even on radar right now, just a few light flurries that have moved into Manitoba, leaving us mostly sunny. A few clouds moving through the north, but those are thinning out as well. And we are in store for another mostly sunny day tomorrow after a bit of passing cloud in northern Saskatchewan. As we head into Thursday, though, that is our next best chance of maybe a little bit of snow, but it won't be much. This band of cloud here and a little bit of a system producing some maybe mixed precipitation in portions of west central Saskatchewan. But that pretty much dies out by the time it gets into the province, and that just leaves us mostly cloudy, especially through southern Saskatchewan. Winds picking up a little bit tomorrow in the 40-kilometer-an-hour range in the south, but then those that begin to die down as we head into Thursday. Passing system to the north will not bring us snow to the north. It'll bring us wind, though, gusts up to 50 or so. The other thing is we're actually watching for temperatures to start increasing in many portions of the province, especially the north overnight tonight. Likely the north going to be near freezing for highs tomorrow in portions of southwestern and west central Saskatchewan. depending on how things go, we could get close to 10 degrees above the freezing mark tomorrow for our daytime highs, and yet more warm weather expected as we head through the rest of the work week. So what does that mean for Regina? Well, a forecast high of around 4 tomorrow with those breezy winds and the skies clearing and showing us some sunshine, and staying above freezing as we head into the weekend. Those 2 -2s that you see on the board there, the only sub-zero temperatures that we're looking for in Regina over these next several days. In Saskatoon, it's pretty much the same thing. You're bouncing kind of between freezing and 5 degrees here, a little bit breezy over the weekend. Temperatures overnight, you notice, staying out of minus double-digit territory. And, you know, Sam, I actually have not had to plug in the car yet this winter, and I'm not going to complain about it.
It is December, right?
Yeah, October, September, November, who knows? March?
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
We're back with more news after the break. The United Nations General Assembly has voted overwhelmingly to demand a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. Canada was among the 153 nations who voted in favor. Earlier in the day, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand issued a joint statement calling for, quote, a sustainable ceasefire. They also called for Hamas to release Israeli hostages immediately and lay down arms. Meanwhile, the fighting continues in Gaza. The Israeli military released video that reportedly shows their ground forces inside Gaza. That fighting is now deep into southern Gaza. Israel has urged hundreds of thousands of civilians in that area to flee. Israel's defense minister says the offensive against Hamas could last months. The health ministry in Gaza, which is run by Hamas, says more than 18,000 Palestinians have been killed since the war started. There is new pressure on Israel to allow more aid into desperate civilians. A CBC News investigation has found Canadian companies are joining the list of brands pulling advertising from X, formerly known as Twitter. Bell and Angus Reid are now among the companies backing away from X amid a rise in hateful content and owner Elon Musk's apparent tolerance for anti-Semitic and extremist content. A review of about 24 accounts linked to white nationalists, misogynists, and other extremists found ads by major brands such as Samsung Canada, CF Montreal, formerly the Montreal Impact, as well as Pathways Alliance, an oil industry lobby group. So far, none have responded to emails from CBC requesting comment. The social media platform has been subject to serious backlash and has been in turmoil since Musk took control a year ago. And Ethan's back with one last look at what is your December weather.
Yeah, well, definitely not typical December weather for sure. Once again, starting around -9 at midnight under clear skies in Regina. But just like a lot of the province, we're going to be seeing that warm up overnight. And as we head into the morning, already at -5, a little bit of cloud cover building in and the wind's starting to pick up a little bit. But as we head to the afternoon, likely already over the freezing mark at that point, going for a high of 4. Clouds clearing away. Still a little bit breezy winds from the south, but they won't be those brisk northwesterly winds we've seen over the past couple of days. Saskatoon also seeing temperatures bump up a little bit by the morning. Again, very similar conditions there. And as we head toward the afternoon, under mostly sunny skies, heading toward a high of 3. Yeah, certainly not going to feel like December and that March-ish weather continuing, Sam.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.